Hello, how's it going everyone? So this video is going to be covering the creative fatigue and how it kind of plays into Meta Andromeda and what is sort of our thought process behind this. Now we shot a live on this, I want to say about a couple weeks ago on the other channel, CPro Growth, where we talked a little bit more with an example so you guys can kind of see the chart for, you know, the amount spent compared to the creative fatigue. However, there is another layer on this that we've already kind of talked about in a previous video, talking about Meta Lattice and how it pretty much can predict what your ad is going to actually do based off of how similar it is to other ads it's tested in the space. So I want to kind of go over this briefly because I think this is very important for a lot of advertisers inside of Meta, because they assume that if you just crank out a bunch of new creative that you're gonna have a lot of success and it's gonna be amazing, and that's not the case. A lot of things kind of come into play when we're looking at traffic that is warmed up versus traffic that is not warmed up, and so that might give you a false signal of saying, hey, this ad is not performing, but the reality is that ad is actually one of your best performers. It's just not showing you the attribution. So if you guys have been around this channel for a while, you already know this. However, I just wanted to make sure that everyone is watching this is aware of that. So what is, or I guess this article here about creative fatigue, recommendations, and meta ads. So with the new update that's coming out, they're going to give us essentially a graph for that, right? A metric to sort of see where the creative fatigue is. And this does not function like it did before, because Andromeda is going and searching for new users all the time, or different people in different parts of the journey, and the journeys are cycling through, right? So we're not going after audience groups per se. It's more of just one large audience group. So it says right here, creative fatigue occurs when an audience has seen the same creative too many times. People may be less likely to engage with your ad, which can lead to higher cost per result. When eligible, you can get experimentally proven creative fatigue recommendations in the opportunity score. Opportunity score is a tool for Meta that helps you identify and prioritize effective campaign recommendations in near real time. Note, opportunity score is not yet available to all ad accounts, which we just said. The score, including a high score itself, does not reflect your actual or future performance. Actual performance depends on many factors, and your opportunity score does not guarantee performance. So what this is essentially saying is that Meta has tested a creative similar to yours against the audience, and it is not working, or it does not work. It also means that the audience maybe has seen a lot of similar creative like that creative itself, and there's not a good user experience when it comes to that creative, or it's not able to be tracked. Now, this is going to be a lot less accurate for accounts that have very long buying cycles and you're not using third-party tools. However, if you're using, you know, no third-party tools, but you have, let's say, a really low LTV, so most of the users are new visits and they're mostly new conversions, then you'll probably run into a scenario where this will actually be a little bit more accurate, because it'll be able to see within that 7-day window, and it'll be more so new users than repeat users, and it won't kind of have some weird fluctuations. So what is the, I guess you can say, solution to this problem? So what we preach in the school group is creative diversity. And it's not just creative diversity in the sense of we just want to slap a bunch of creatives out there and we just change the text, or we just change the imagery slightly, and pretty much run the same angle, right? A lot of people are running just pretty much product images or product ads when it comes to e-commerce, or for like the marketing space, digital marketing space, you see a lot of face to cameras all the time. That's like majority of it, with like a weird hook, and it's the most boring thing ever. I've done it before, and it's just something that we need to get away from, right? And so when it comes to creative diversity, we need to think of a couple angles, right? So we have the first highest leverage point, which is your concepts, right? So we have the reason why someone would want to buy a product, or why they're even interested in hearing what you have to say in the first place, right? What problem are you trying to solve? Creative fatigue is only going to go off of the data it knows. It does not know, obviously, what is unknown. That's why you want to spend and then see the results on how the audience is reacting to that creative inside of the creative fatigue chart that's inside of your reports for the ad creatives. So what that means is that we can look at real-time data on how users are actually receiving the creative. And what we noticed based off of, like I said, that live we did a couple weeks ago, we actually found out that it's in line pretty closely, almost exactly, with the results when it comes to, you know, regular buying cycles. Nothing crazy on like a B2B like 6-month long buying cycle. Just we're talking like, you know, 7 days, 2 weeks kind of thing. And we've kind of seen it be more reactive than proactive per se. se. So I'm not really excited about this metric. I'm not excited about it, but it does not come close to the amount spent and then the overall, conversions that are coming through in itself as a way to benchmark if a creative is working or not working, because we've kind of built a system to where we're looking at top, middle, and bottom funnel inside of one ad set. And so with creative fatigue, it's more so how it cycles through the current audience. So if you are, if Andromeda is pulling people that are in this sort of story per se of their cycle, because it says, hey, Meta Lattice matched this type of creative that had a positive impact on this type of user, Andromeda is going to now serve the ads to those users, and then essentially you're going to get conversions from that, hopefully. Creative fatigue is just a way to measure how your ads match up with everyone else's ads, as well as how they're being received with the audience. And so what that means is we can better react to creative concepts to then pivot a lot earlier and not have to wait for our assumed lag time per se. Now, we still want to wait for the lag time, but we don't want to just overextend it, right? So what I've taught in the community that we're running in the school group is you want to wait roughly around 1.5 to 2 times your lag time. So if you don't know what lag time is, it's just how long someone takes from a interest to a conversion, right? So if it's a low cost e-commerce product, let's just say it's 7 days. So your lag time is 7 days, which means that if you're launching creative and you want to see if it's going to work inside of your funnel, you want to give it at least 1.5 to 2 times that, right? So we're looking at anywhere between, 11 or 10 or 11 to 14 days. And the reason why is because we want to make sure that we're giving it enough time to sort of test and warm up users, and then eventually have them, siphon down to the bottom of funnel. Now with creative fatigue, we can sort of see that easier inside of how they're transitioning from top, middle, and bottom of funnel based on the data that Meta has. So if we scroll down and kind of read the end here, depending on your ad setup, we may provide following recommendations before or after your campaign is active. Create another ad, create a new ad with a new image or video that is materially different from the original creative. Note, keeping your original ad active instead of pausing or turning it off may maximize results. I'm going to say this again, keeping your original ad active instead of pausing or turning it off may maximize results. So it's funny because this is literally what we've been saying for probably the past 6 months now, is your top performing creative could be getting 0 conversions. And Meta is now trying to make this accessible for everyone in terms of just showing you what is happening as easy as possible with the creative fatigue. A lot of people will pause ads they think are not working, and that kills the account. And then expand your audience, increase your audience size, and reach new people who have not seen your ad too much yet, which is already what Andromeda is doing. They just lie to you and they say it's not. It really is. Even if you do the, workaround where you can get audiences that are not Advantage Plus, it will still go beyond that. And then it says try Meta Advantage Plus Creative. Advantage Plus Creative automatically creates variations of your ad using a single image or video and shows a personalized ad to each person based on what it appears they're most likely to respond to. Note, Advantage Plus Creative is only available for campaigns using the traffic or sales objective with website destination. I think this is a band-aid on a way, way bigger issue. I think that if you are unable to diversify your creative inside of Meta, you should not be running Meta ads. You should be focused on another channel or just obviously using Meta for just general awareness. If you're trying to grow an ad account, you need to be able to produce creative. It's that simple. And creative doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? It can be something as simple as just on your phone. But relying on Meta to change just the image but have the same concept, you're not really going to see leaps in results. You might see like a 2, 3, 4, 5% shift, but the reality is that the main mover when it comes to this, the main leverage point is always going to be the concept. What is your value prop to your perceived audience, and how does it relate to the ICP's problems? That is the goal for all of this. So I would just be very weary on what Meta is doing. Now, obviously, I see the path they're taking, that it's sort of trying to make the strategies that we're saying based on what we're hearing from the disruptors team inside of Meta more accessible to the majority of people and easier to understand. But I would not take this as the 100%. This is how you got to do it all the time, because like I said, Meta is just trying to, they are trying to get people to spend more, but then also make more, but it's just not necessarily the most efficient way of doing it, and you're also looking at a scenario where you're not really giving people the full picture when your meta is not really giving people the full picture when we're looking at this. So just want to give you guys this quick little update on how we kind of look at this and what we expect to do. Still gonna go with, like I said, the cost as the main KPI, and then CAPI imports for conversions with edge tag as the secondary metric on top of that. So first click new customer paired with the amount spent allows us to see the funnel and then obviously make adjustments from there versus relying on just creative fatigue. Creative fatigue is just going to give us that real-time feedback that will kind of be able to allow us to see, okay, if something changed in the account, we can kind of see it further up the funnel how it's acting. But it's not going to be a game-changing thing that's going to immediately increase performance if we just follow this perfectly, right? So anyways, just wanted to give this to you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.